First off, I want to thank you for coming out today. I'm really honored to be here. As I was explaining to Mags when we drove up today, my father used to drive us out here every summer from Calgary for our summer vacation, and we would always have a trip to Royal Roads. So to come back today to see it and realize all the history that's here and the history that you guys are making now, it's pretty cool. Very nice, and the gardens are absolutely fantastic. But that said, when true hospitality is delivered, very often it is the ambiance of the place in which it's delivered that really makes it special. So I hope you guys all realize that the beauty of the grounds and the buildings of Royal Roads is really adding something to your education that not everybody gets. And I was also saying to Megs that I think as this program gets a little bit older, more and more people are going to realize that this is a great place to get an education, an absolutely fantastic environment. So, kudos to you guys for being some of the first to go through the program. It's really cool. So, I'm here today to share my perspective on management, leadership, hospitality, tourism. One of the things that brought me here is actually the quality of this program. Our Coast Hotels and Resorts president, Mr. Graham Barrett, is a big advocate of continuing education. He's encouraged a lot of us to go back to school. I just recently got my Bachelor of Hospitality Management, and we've got some people going through masters, and I'm looking at doing that next. So pretty exciting and pretty vital to careers that you do continue to keep yourself educated and on top of the latest theories and concepts out there. But when this opportunity came up, Graham was actually the one who very enthusiastically said to me, "Linda, you've got to go do this." So I'm not only honored to be here because of you guys, but it was an honor to be asked by the president to actually come out and do it. So yeah, pretty cool day for me. I'm going to use a little bit of cheat sheets because when I get on a topic, I can talk forever, and I know you guys are only giving me an hour. So I'm going to try and keep myself on schedule here. There's going to be a question and answer period at the end. So write anything down that makes sense to you. I'll also make sure you get a copy of the handouts. But also I encourage you, because you only get out of something what you put into it, to use me later on, ask whatever questions you have. I'm more than happy to answer anything. There's no question that's too outrageous, I promise you. Should hear what they ask me at the hotel. So let's start with a little bit about me. Hospitality career of 30 plus years. Started, my father believes, something that was born into me. He's got this picture of me when I was about 2 years old, and he says that supports his theory unequivocally. He refers to this as Linda's Lounge, and I have to admit that's the most undemanding group of people I've ever served, or group of individuals, I should say. So maybe he's right. Maybe it is something that was born into me, but I can tell you it's something I absolutely love doing. So I'm so happy that I found a career in this. A few years after this picture was taken, in about 1965, a new novel by somebody named Arthur Haley came out. It was called Hotel. And a couple of years after it came out, I was actually old enough to read and understand it. And it was in those pages that I discovered the art of being a hotelier and of hotels themselves, not just from a guest perspective, but from the people who worked within it. So that kind of sparked my interest. And this book is still available online, so if any of you want to read something non-textbook for a change, you might want to pick one of those up. So the years passed, and as interesting as hospitality was to me, I took a little detour before committing to it. I also had this dream that I'd work in a hospital, and I was really interested in dietary things. So I took my training to become a hospital dietitian. And I took about 4 years of that. Now granted, there's a lot of similarities between hotels and hospitals. For instance, they both have guest rooms. They both have food and beverage. If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Necessary, but is it pretty? No, not really. Both have meeting rooms of a sort. I'm glad I don't have to be in those ones. And of course, the employees wear uniforms. So a lot of similarities. I stuck with it, like I said, for about 4 years, and it's a very noble profession, but I realized it really wasn't for me. So I set out to find my true passion. I'd made that decision, and it was kind of a fateful evening in 1978. I sat down to relax after coming home from the hospital, turned on the TV, and lo and behold, what was playing but the television version of Hotel. And that's the actual hotel that the novel was based on, which was located in New Orleans. So I was watching the movie and I went, the proverbial light bulb went on over my head. Why am I not looking for a career in hotels? So that's what I set out to do. And my very first job I found, and I figured I'd better grab it, was being a cocktail waitress at the Century Plaza Hotel in downtown Vancouver. And that was in the summer of 1978. So cocktail waitress I was, learned a lot. The hotel was family owned and operated by a family, Roy LeCigar, and his wife and children and his brother. So I made a point to make sure I let them know that I really was serious about a profession in hotels. And they became convinced of that, and they set out to help me in my endeavors. So I owe a lot of my career to them to this day. But I'll interrupt my story for just a second because I touched on a very important thing that people should think about when they're looking at their careers. And that is, it's really important to make sure you let people know what you want. So many people sit back and think that things are just going to come to them because they want it. You actually have to sit out and you have to tell the people who can help you in your career what it is you want to do. So by letting the LeCigars know that I really did want to be in hotels and wanted a profession, they were more than willing to help me, and they were kind of honored because I was taking so much interest in their business. Another good point is if you see a posting for a position that you're interested in, please do not sit back and hope that the boss is going to come and ask you to apply. Part of the reason that that doesn't happen in a good organization is because employers want people who really want to do the job. They want to see your enthusiasm. So if you don't have the enthusiasm to apply, that sends a message. And very often you meet people who years after are frustrated because they never got asked to apply for something. Well, you kind of got to take your future in your hands and make it happen for yourself. So I also learned that lesson out of the LeCigars. There's also those times you don't get the position. It's the dream job that you thought you wanted. I've had a couple of times in my career when that happened. And it's hard not to let those feelings of disappointment and, you're turned down, feels kind of bad, but you got to stay focused on what your long-term goals are. So don't get frustrated. You got to believe that the decision that was made was for the best, even though it may not seem like that to you at the time. But you got to believe, if you stay positive and stay focused on your long-term goals, that when the time is right, it's going to happen for you. And that absolutely is the way it happened for me. There was one time before I actually successfully got my first general manager position that there was one I was just dying to have. So I did everything I could to get the position. I practiced for my interview. I did a whole bunch of homework on the property itself, and I was not successful. And I was devastated. And I went home, and fortunately, I've got a very understanding husband who said to me, you know what, buck up. You've got a great career, so you didn't get that one. The timing's not right. And he was absolutely right. Because it does happen when it is supposed to happen in your life. So, back to my story with the LeCigars. Like I said, they were very good to me. Having hands-on experience is an amazing educational tool.